the sacrifice. The silver chains clinked with every step Aya took along the marble corridor of the grand pavilion. Her purple skin shimmered under the harsh lights as she kept her gaze fixed on the polished floor. Behind her, two Novan guards followed at a careful distance, their expressions hidden behind ceremonial masks. The gathered crowd of nobles and merchants watched in silence. No one dared speak as the daughter of House Talari was led to the exchange platform. She was no longer a person to them. She was simply collateral. Her father had borrowed heavily from the Terran Federation to maintain their farming estates during the drought. But when 3 harvests failed and trade routes collapsed, he had nothing left to give. The High Council made their decision. Aya would be sent as a bride to a human officer, payment for the enormous debt. "Stand straight," one guard whispered, almost sympathetically. "The ambassador approaches." Aya lifted her chin despite the heaviness in her chest. She'd heard terrible stories about humans. Some said they kept alien wives in laboratories. Others claimed they displayed them as exotic trophies. The worst tales suggested they were cruel masters who demanded complete submission. Ambassador Alex stepped forward with a data tablet. "The contract is complete," he announced to the council. "Aya of House Talari will be transported to Outpost 7 to join her new husband. All debts to the Federation are hereby cleared." Her mother stood at the edge of the gathering, tears streaming down her face, but making no move to intervene. Her younger sister Isabel clutched her mother's robes, watching wide-eyed as Aya was led away. "I'll be fine," Aya mouthed to her sister, though she didn't believe it herself. The doors to the landing bay opened. A sleek Federation transport waited, engines humming softly. The pilot gestured impatiently. Aya hesitated at the threshold, feeling the weight of chains on her wrists. "Move," the second guard said, giving her a gentle push. Inside the ship, everything was cold metal and clean lines, so different from the warm, organic architecture of her homeworld. The pilot ignored her as she was secured to a passenger seat. "How long is the journey?" she asked quietly. 3 days to Outpost 7, the pilot replied without turning. "Your husband has paid generously for your safe delivery." Husband. The word felt hollow. She didn't even know his name or what he looked like. All she knew was that he was a high-ranking Federation scientist who had requested a Novan wife specifically. As the ship lifted off, Aya caught a final glimpse of her world through the viewport. The twin moons hung low in the sky, and the sprawling purple field stretched to the horizon. Would she ever see home again? Hours passed in silence. Aya tried to sleep but couldn't quiet her thoughts. Would he be cruel? Would he keep her locked away? Would he expect her to serve him in ways that made her stomach turn? "We're entering Federation space," the pilot announced. "Your new life begins soon." Aya closed her eyes. She was now property of the Federation, of a human she had never met. She had been traded like a common commodity. The chains around her wrists were just a physical manifestation of her new reality. The ship descended through cloud cover, revealing a small outpost nestled among green hills and flowing water. It looked peaceful, almost beautiful, but appearances could be deceiving. "We've arrived at Outpost 7, the pilot said. "Dr. Chan is waiting." The unexpected guardian. The ship's door hissed open. Cold air rushed in, carrying the scent of something unfamiliar yet pleasant, like fresh rain on warm soil. Aya blinked against the bright sunlight as a silhouette appeared at the entrance. "Welcome to Outpost 7, a calm voice said. The man stepped forward, his features becoming clear in the light. Dr. Chen stood tall, with dark hair cropped short at the sides. His eyes were deep brown, studying her with an intensity that made her look away. He wore a simple gray uniform with the Federation's Science Division insignia. No weapons visible, no entourage of guards. "Are these restraints necessary?" he asked the pilot, frowning at the chains on Aya's wrists. "Standard protocol for alien transfers," the pilot shrugged. "Remove them immediately." Dr. Chen's voice remained quiet, but carried undeniable authority. "Sir, the subject might—" "She is not a subject," Dr. Chen interrupted sharply. "She is my wife, according to the agreement. Remove the restraints now." The pilot hesitated, then produced a small key. The chains fell away, leaving faint purple marks on Aya's skin. She rubbed her wrists, confused by this unexpected intervention. "The transfer documents require your signature." The pilot held out a datapad. Dr. Chen signed quickly, then handed it back. "You may leave now," he said. The pilot nodded and returned to the ship. Silence fell between them as the transport lifted off. Aya stood frozen, unsure what was expected of her. Dr. Chen cleared his throat. "You must be tired from the journey." He gestured toward a modest structure nestled among strange trees. "The outpost isn't large, but it's comfortable. Follow me if you're ready." He started walking without checking if she followed. Aya hesitated only a moment before trailing after him. What choice did she have? The outpost was indeed small. A main research building connected to living quarters. Large windows looked out over rolling hills and a small lake. Nothing like the prison she had imagined. "This will be your room." He opened a door, revealing a spacious chamber with a bed, desk, and private washing facility. "I've tried to make it comfortable, but if you need anything else, please let me know." Aya stood in the doorway, waiting for the other demands to follow. "You must be tired from the journey," he continued when she didn't speak. "The kitchen is stocked with both Terran and Novan foods. I had them imported specially." "Why?" The question escaped before she could stop herself. Dr. Chen looked surprised. "Why what?" "Why treat me like this?" Aya gestured to the room. "I'm here as payment for a debt. You're my property now." His expression darkened. "You are not my property. The contract may say one thing, but here, in this place, you are a free person." "I don't understand," she whispered. Dr. Chen sighed. "I needed a research partner familiar with xenobotany for my xenobotany work. When I heard about your family's situation, I saw an opportunity to help both of us. The marriage contract was the only legal way to bring you here without military oversight." "So, you don't expect me to be your wife?" The last word caught in her throat. "I expect nothing from you except professional collaboration if you're willing. The marriage is merely paperwork. Your quarters are your own, I will not enter without permission, and you may come and go as you please within the outpost grounds." Aya stared at him, searching for deception. "What happens if I try to leave?" "The nearest settlement is 200 kilometers away," he said practically, "but I won't stop you, though I hope you'll at least consider staying to work with me." He showed her the research facilities, advanced laboratories filled with plant specimens, growth chambers, and analytical equipment. One entire section housed Novan flora, thriving under artificial light. "Tomorrow I can show you the outdoor gardens," he said. "For now, rest and settle in. The kitchen is through there. There's a communication terminal if you wish to contact your family." As he turned to leave, she called out, "Dr. Chen." He paused. "Thank you." He nodded once. "My name is Cooper," he said. "Dr. Chen is too formal for someone sharing my home." That night, Aya sat on the edge of her bed, running her hands over the soft blankets. No chains, No guards, no demands. Just unexpected freedom and a strange human who defied every story she had been told. Seeds of trust. Morning light filtered through the translucent curtains as Aya woke from her first peaceful sleep in months. She touched the empty space on her wrists where chains had been, still hardly believing their absence. A gentle knock at her door startled her. "Breakfast is ready if you're hungry," Cooper's voice called, "and I thought perhaps you might like to see the gardens today." Aya dressed in the simple clothes provided, loose-fitting and comfortable, unlike the formal attire required of her family. When she emerged, Cooper was waiting in the common area. He wore field clothes and carried a small container. "You slept well?" he asked, offering her a steaming cup of something fragrant. "Better than expected," she admitted, accepting the cup cautiously. The liquid inside was purple, a Novan tea. She looked up in surprise. "I've studied your world's botany extensively, including which plants make the best morning beverages." They ate in companionable silence. Aya studied him when he wasn't looking, the careful precision of his movements, the thoughtful expression that seemed permanent on his features. He wasn't what humans were supposed to be. After breakfast, Cooper led her outside. The air was crisp, carrying unfamiliar scents. Behind the main building stretched several acres of cultivated land, sectioned into distinct growing areas. Some contained earth plants, others Novan specimens, and many she didn't recognize at all. "This is my life's work," Cooper said, his voice warming with passion. "Hybridizing botanical species from across the galaxy to create plants that can thrive on multiple worlds, potentially solving food shortages on struggling colonies." He showed her through the gardens, naming each plant, explaining its properties and origin. His knowledge of Novan flora impressed her. "These cavalli roots," she said, kneeling beside familiar purple tubers. "How did you get them to grow in this soil?" "Patience and failure," Cooper replied with a small laugh. "I killed 17 specimens before understanding they needed more acidity. Would you like to help me transplant the new seedlings?" Aya found herself nodding. They worked side by side through the morning. Cooper was patient, never rushing or correcting her harshly when she made mistakes. By midday, her hands were dirty and her spirits lighter than they had been in years. "You have a natural touch," he observed, as she carefully arranged soil around delicate purple stems. "My research could progress twice as quickly with your help." "Is that why you brought me here?" she asked, watching his expression. Cooper's hands stilled. "Partly," he admitted, "but not entirely." He sat back on his heels, looking across the garden instead of at her. "My wife Sarah was a botanist too. She died 3 years ago during the border conflict. Her research station was hit in an attack meant for a military target." Aya's breath caught. "I'm sorry." "After that, I requested transfer to this remote outpost. I couldn't bear to be around people. I just wanted to continue our work alone." "Then why bring me here?" she asked softly. Cooper looked at her directly. "Because the Federation began pressuring me to return to Central Command. I needed a reason to stay. When I heard about your situation, a family in debt, a daughter with botanical training, it seemed like a solution for us both. I could remain here, and you could escape becoming someone's true prisoner." "You knew about my studies?" Aya was surprised. "Your family's background was in the file." He nodded. "I knew you had trained in agricultural sciences before the drought." They continued working as afternoon stretched on. Aya found herself telling him about her home, her family's struggle, how her father had grown desperate as the situation worsened. "He thought he was protecting me," she said softly, patting soil around a seedling. "He believed the alternatives were worse." "Were they?" Cooper asked. Aya considered the question. "Perhaps," she finally answered. "The other bidders for my contract were not scientists." That evening, they ate dinner on the small terrace overlooking the garden. Cooper showed her his research notes and asked her opinion on several hybrid attempts.
He listened intently to her suggestions, noting them in his tablet. "Tomorrow we could try the grafting technique you mentioned. I've never seen it done the Novan way." As Aya returned to her room that night, she realized something had shifted. The fear that had been her constant companion for months had begun to fade, replaced with something unfamiliar: hope. She paused at her door. "Cooper." He looked up from his notes. "Thank you for treating me like a person, not a possession." His eyes softened. "That's all any of us should ever be."
The unwelcome visitor. The alarm blared through the outpost, jolting Aya from her work in the laboratory. Cooper burst through the door, his face tense. "We have a visitor," he said grimly. "A Novan military shuttle just requested permission to land." Aya's hands trembled, nearly dropping the delicate seedlings she'd been examining. "Who is it?" "Commander Rena of the Imperial Guard." Cooper's voice was tight. "He claims to be here on official business regarding your contract." Fear crawled back into her chest. Commander Rena was known for his ruthless efficiency and connection to the wealthiest houses, including those who had initially sought her hand. "You don't have to see him," Cooper assured her, moving closer without touching her. "I can send him away." Aya straightened her shoulders. "No," she said firmly. "I want to hear what he has to say." They waited at the landing pad as the sleek black shuttle descended. Commander Rena emerged in full regalia, his imposing figure silhouetted against the bright sky. "Dr. Chen?" he acknowledged coldly before turning to Aya. "Lady Talari." His eyes swept over her simple clothes and dirt-stained hands with obvious disapproval. "Commander," she replied evenly. "What brings you to Outpost 7? "A matter of great importance," he smiled without warmth. "The Council has reviewed your contract and found certain irregularities. We believe it was signed under duress. I've come to nullify the arrangement and escort you home." Cooper tensed beside her. "The contract is legally binding," he said. "There were no irregularities." Rena's smile widened. "Dr. Chen, you misunderstand. This is good news. You'll be compensated generously for your trouble, and I will return to her rightful place among her people." "My rightful place?" Aya repeated, hearing the trap in his words. "Of course," Rena nodded. "Though not with your father's house. Nobleman Kai has expressed interest in forming an alliance with House Talari through marriage. His influence could restore your family's standing." Aya felt cold, despite the warm sun. Nobleman Kai, the cruel collector of rare specimens, both plant and person. Her father had rejected his offer before the drought. "I see," she said quietly. "And my father agreed to this?" "He understands the opportunity it represents," Rena replied smoothly. Cooper stepped forward. "Aya isn't property to be traded again. The decision is hers alone." Rena's expression hardened. "This doesn't concern you, human. The contract was a mistake. The Council has spoken." "I need time to consider," Aya said firmly. "Of course," Rena smiled thinly. "I'll return tomorrow for your answer. Though I should mention, refusal could have unfortunate consequences for your family." After he departed, Cooper paced the laboratory. "You don't have to go with him." Aya stared at the plants they'd cultivated together over the past months. "If I don't, my family suffers." "We could leave," Cooper suggested suddenly. "There are neutral territories beyond Federation and Novan space." Aya looked at him, seeing something new in his eyes. "Together?" Cooper stepped closer, finally bridging the careful distance he had always maintained. "Together," he confirmed softly.